Um, well, thank you so much for joining us. Part of this was uh selfish because I know how much Murphy loves having you as his other family, and
Yeah.
I never got the tour of of the business. That was Jen when on her first day, so I kind of really wanted to see learn more about you guys. Um,
Oh.
and then
Well,
also
yeah, if you ever want to come, come back, we can schedule a good time and we'll sort of treat it like, a meeting like we usually do. We'll do slow introductions and, we'll that way you can sort of see the process and see a little bit more than what you usually see.
I would love that. I really would. I was always asking Jen like, hey, how does this work? How do they do this? And I'm like, I don't know. So no, I just find the whole thing fascinating. And Murphy, you're his second family, so I'm fascinated.
Well, we're honored.
Yeah.
Well, also, thank you guys again for joining. And really, what I wanted to do is understand a little bit about your business, and tell you a little bit about ours and Insperity, and if it makes sense, if there's some synergy, uh, that'd be great. We'll talk about what we can do and how we help businesses, but ultimately, at the end of the day, if it doesn't if it's not a good fit, no worries. If it is, we'll talk about possible next steps. So regardless, is that fair if I can get a commitment from you for saying, hey, this sounds like it'd be good? Great. If not, no hard feelings, and we'll still be a resource for you.
Absolutely.
Fair. Fair enough. Well, great. Well, first off, you already know me, but what I don't know is, can you maybe tell me a little bit about the origin of the company? How did it start? Like, you're now at a hold on, I had to do some notes. You're on a 25-acre operation with co-managers, uh, and you're on your second site, or you're looking for your second site. Like, how did this idea come about? Talk to me about this.
Well, we're not looking for a second site. We're not that ambitious, and we we have enough going on here, and so it's something we've considered, but we've got a good thing going here. I've previously been in a business where we tried to expand too quickly and we wore ourselves thin, and it didn't end up working financially and psychologically. It took a toll. So I think we don't want to, and plus Kelly's stressed out enough as it is, just worrying about what we have here.
Yeah.
We don't need a second location to worry about.
Yeah. So we started out, I guess it was 14, 15 years ago. It was 2012, January 2012. And Matt had been coming out of the coffee business. The kids were little. He was ready to get out and he had some time to think about what he wanted to do. And um,
By the way, I'll say this to go back even further to the 90s when I was working in Bethesda and had a dog named Curtis. He was a boxer. I used to take Curtis to Battery Kemble Park in DC, and I loved watching the dogs like play and interact. And I remember at that time wondering, and I've always worked in small business, but wondering if there was a way we could make a business out of, have a farm where people could take their dogs and they could be off leash. What I was thinking at the time was slightly different than what we're doing now, but as things evolve, that's just the way it works. You kind of start out with an idea and then it sort of can take a life of its own. But um, yeah, that was in the sort of late 90s, and then we had the opportunity about 15 years later to give it a shot. So that's what we did. We were like, what about that dog idea?
yeah,
And
it's a little
Kelly was
scary.
Kelly, well, Kelly hit it pretty well. She was like, okay.
That's that. I'd imagine that was a fun dinner conversation. Having hey, yeah,
Right.
I would have been loved to have been a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
So maybe can you tell me like how what's the growth had what's that been looking like from when you first started in 2012 to today? You know, how's the business changed and what's changed from uh a business environment standpoint? Like, just, you know, from the business itself, but overall, what's changing?
Yeah. Well, when we started, I printed out a resume and some references and some flyers and walked around the neighborhoods and dropped some flyers off after doing a business plan and all that stuff. But so it was one customer at a time, and we would do dog walks. We had a service that we called Trips to the Farm, where we pick up dogs and take them out to a offsite farm, which was not this place. It was we had a farm that belongs to a friend of ours that we built a private dog park. So that's sort of how we started. But it was just Kelly and me,
And
and
then some of those dogs that he was walking or picking up, asked if they could start boarding with us. So then,
Mhm.
and or, daycare. So it was kind of like Matt was out during the day driving back and forth and doing visits in homes and stuff. And then I was home with dogs um, for boarding and daycare. And then it just kind of grew from there. And then we
But
got,
I'll say this, that it was difficult because being a cage and kennel free, facility, it was really just at our house, but we couldn't leave the dogs. So either I needed to be there or Kelly needed to be there. So even simple things like going out to the grocery store, we couldn't take vacations together. So, our first employee is a now good friend of mine who stopped working here in the 10 years ago,
mhm.
um, named Steve, and he was great. And he helped us. It was great just having an extra person so we could get away together. And then, a second employee was hired, and then a third, and we started.
So now we have about 25 employees and we're, a little more hands off and a
Kelly and
little
I.
more. Yeah, a little more. Still just daily kind of 24/7, putting out little fires here and there, but
What kind of fires?
yeah. What's that?
What kind of fires?
Just like, you know, a dog's not doing well, just started, isn't doing well. How do we communicate that?
Or
Um,
sick.
yeah,
You
sick,
know.
something like that. There's, fights and bites occasionally that require, heading to the vet, stuff like that.
And then anything else
Or
that
just operational stuff.
has to do with running a business.
Yeah.
You have employees, and we're lucky to have really good ones, and we have great managers in place that help out with that a lot. But you know, if an employee shows up late, so we have certain kind of standards that we have to uphold, and so there are processes now that we didn't have in place, 12 years ago.
Was that and those employees that you have now, those 25, are they 1099 W2?
W-2.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of them are part-time.
Yeah.
So they kind of come in, when we get, it sort of works out because when we get busy for, travel time, like spring break and holidays and summertime, they're usually out of school because we have, college kids and, you know, we have any more high school kids? I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess we've got a couple high school kids that help us out. So they're able to sort of fill the gaps.
Nice. Yeah, I know you guys have a lot of UMBC, Towson, and UMD folks. and that one girl who likes the Eagles. I don't know what she's doing, but
Oh,
That's Sam.
Sam.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, she was born in Philly, so
Yeah,
No one's
next year
perfect.
she will have been with us for 10 years.
yeah, and she's probably going to be moving right next door to us. So yeah,
She's awesome, by the way. Like she's just she brightens up the morning and just she's awesome. But you know
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, you know that. So maybe can you walk me through a little bit of like what's a typical week look like? You know, what's I know you guys start at 7 officially, but you really kind of that's like the you really ideally would like to start at 7:30, but like walk me through a typical week, if you don't mind.
Well, remember it's 24/7. Now
That's true. Yeah.
that doesn't mean that Kelly and I are on 24/7. We have time off, but there's always somebody here. We always have dogs here. And
And we're always cage free, so somebody always has to be with them. So we have overnight staff, and then yeah, we open at 7:30, close at 7 p.m. Um, and yeah, overnight staff comes in at 8. Um,
but for example, last night one of our overnight staff couldn't come in, and so guess who fills in? We do. So we had the dogs all come up to the house, and um it's a good problem to have because us being on the clock means the dogs are up in the house with us and we're watching a show and trying to get them settled down. Now, just not to get off topic too much, but it's funny because we have three different buildings that we use here, and some of the dogs may not really have been into the house before, and to them it almost is like going to a neighbor's house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're in a different, they have to, I mean, it's basically like a small neighborhood in here. And so sometimes it takes a while to get dogs settled in, where they might be settled in what we call the daycare house, but up here they are less settled. So it can be a process and maybe not that great sleep, for me, if they're down with me. I've got a bedroom downstairs. So it's sort of a matter of trying to get them comfortable. But that happened last night. So
I would imagine that's uh lots of different smells and yeah, that would be difficult for anybody. I let alone a dog who isn't familiar with that house, but um this is just not part of the business, but just kind of out of curiosity, does do you notice that the dogs that are there are like kind of their own pack? Like do they form their own packs or like how do
yeah,
they organize themselves? This is just out of curiosity.
um, it's it's dynamic because every new dog sort of can change the energy level. But most of the dogs, there's a core. It's almost like this core that just slowly changes throughout the day or week. And because we have a lot of dogs that come every day or they come often, and so there is sort of an energy of the pack, and that energy can sort of go up and down a little bit depending on in the mornings they're very excited, especially when it's time to go outside, and they're waking up and they're excited to like run outside. But they all sort of get to know each other's personalities and they communicate with each other. If there's a dog that is, well, there's also instinct. There's some dogs, um, but all dogs will know if there's an older dog, and so they tend to sort of leave those older dogs alone. It's kind of like how we instinctually do not go jump up on our grandparents' backs. You know what I mean? Like, because we just know that you don't do that.
That's fascinating.
So yeah, so dogs are sort of similar like that. And So they sort of feel each other out, and they're like, okay, this one wants to play. I like to play. Let's see how we can play. And then they feel out how, sort of the rules of engagement with the play and what's allowed and what's not allowed. Um, they will feel out. They might learn the by through a growl or something where, okay, this dog's laying down and I don't want to, this dog doesn't want me too close to him. And so because that other dog will give like a little bit of a lip curl, communicating to them, no, this is my spot. And so they'll go to another spot. Now that's not common. Most dogs are really comfortable being close to the other dogs, but those are just some examples of how they communicate to each other, how they get to know individual sort of personality quirks.
And then the problems arise when you get the one that doesn't understand any of that communication.
Or doesn't care because they're too excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It's fascinating how similar they are to people in that, we think that we're so special that we're the only ones that can communicate, but we're not. I'm sure it's that you've gone through an evolution yourself, being able to see that and how it just changes the vibe overall. But anyway, thank you for answering that. I was just curious. So kind of getting back to your business aspect of it. Um, how often do you have people that are getting hurt on the job? Maybe, if they're lifting something or dealing with dog scuffles, or does that happen often at all?
I'm going to knock on some wood, but thankfully not very often. I mean, we do frequently have to step in and, you know, break up a little,
Scuffle.
a scuffle or just bad energy. But um, I think I mean, Matt and I think we were talking about this the other day. We've each only been bitten like once or twice.
And it did not break skin
Right. We've
for
had
me.
one workers' comp claim from a woman who was hired with a pre-existing ankle injury. And she had called out her first week that she was supposed to start and said she'd hurt her ankle. And then she started, and I stupidly didn't get a note from the doctor saying it was okay. And on her third day, or fourth day, she fell, of course, outside of the camera views, um, and filed a claim.
So when that happened, how did that impact the business?
I mean, it didn't really much other than just being really frustrated and annoyed. She hadn't worked enough. She wasn't going to collect much money for it, but um, it was frustrating because I really felt that it wasn't an injury that actually occurred here.
But she was a part-timer,
Yeah,
and she didn't work many hours. She hadn't worked there for long, so it's not like she was
yeah,
trained up, and we were very reliant on her.
yeah.
Um, we do have some flexibility here. And beyond the two managers, we have three assistant managers and a
Mhm.
shift leader, um, and plus a handful of other full timers who are very experienced. So and then there's um, Kelly and me that can step in if needed.
So we've been pretty lucky in that way.
Well, not only that, I mean, you have to have a lot of trust with those people too. I mean, if they're in your house 24/7, that's a
Right.
incredible amount of trust. But so how to kind of going back to the you were talking about the training a little bit, or that she wasn't trained up. What is that training process look like?
We have a series of software programs designed, by people in the industry for learning about dog body language and basic caring of dogs. So employees are simultaneously doing those training programs, which I think are probably Gosh, we switched one. The original one we had was like 40 hours or something of online work. I think it's reduced a little bit. We found a program that was very specific to our needs. But they do that here and on their own time and then when they come in, um, we bring them into groups and just kind of show them, like have them observe the dog behavior and point things out to them. And then beyond, once we're comfortable, at that point, we go through just the basic, daily operations. There's a lot of systems that have been built over, the years um, that take a long time to learn. And then, um, once they're comfortable with those things, we kind of, we let them try out sending the updates that you guys get. Um,
Which
and
they're
once
actually
we're comfortable,
they're really great about responding, by the way. They do a really good job of responding. That again, not that you didn't know that, but they do a really good job.
Yeah.
well, the systems, in play, there's like respond to every text, but then there's a manager that comes and checks, halfway through the day, make sure everything's been responded to, and then again in the evenings. So, every once in a while something gets unanswered, but for the most part, they're
Communication has
good.
always been important to us, and so that's always been one of the priorities. And especially when dogs don't have voices, and we are sort of sometimes a lot of times it's behavioral, and so we have to sort of translate to the best of our ability what we're seeing, and that took time to get one to sort of really understand the behavior, and two to communicate it effectively, because it's one thing to sort of just observe the dogs and sort of understand, because start getting a good intuition as to what's going on, and then it's another thing to put that into words. um, so
And Mike, you're only getting texts like, "Oh, Murphy's enjoying the sunshine," but a lot of dogs are getting, pages long of texts of
well
like behavioral.
Well, when we have a new dog that comes in, it's always heavy in the communication on exactly what we're seeing, because these are new clients that come in. They don't really know us, and they're curious about how their dog is doing. And so for those first few days, especially, we'll send multiple texts and sort of give a better, we want to give them a better idea of exactly what's happening, including the things that aren't necessarily good news. So and that's the case with all the dogs here. It's not just good news. There's sometimes bad news. And um anyway, that's something we learned early on. You don't want to, it doesn't feel good to share bad news. And I think a lot of facilities just don't do that, but it's important.
It's even more awkward to have things that are boiling over and um, not said and leading to
Right.
um,
Until it's too late.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah. No, that makes sense. Uh, well, good. So yeah, I mean, you guys, it really is. You guys have. It does seem like I was wondering why is this so? Seem like there's such a process, and they're so good at responding. Um, like they even do the little hearts over like by yourself.
Because they're trained. Never underestimate the power of an emoji.
I
Yeah. No, but it's a learning thing for everybody, on typing out messages to people.
Yeah.
And we're lucky again that our core of staff have been here for a long time. So in fact, we have, if we have some people that have been here for a couple of years, and they might we might start passing like the baton of the text updates, but we'll sort of, and by we I mean it's usually like the ladies and our managers, who are sort of monitor. They might type out a message and then they'll be like, "Is this okay?" And so, you know, we'll go over it and make sure that it's communicated well and that it's accurate. So there's sort of a process of learning how to, you know, how to communicate through text.
I think Jen would tell me I need to take some of your courses. And because I'm not good at texts. Um, she is. I'm not.
Yeah.
So from a like a business standpoint and overall between the dogs and the people, you know, you have payroll scheduling. How much of your time is spent managing the business and you know versus growing the business? Like, do you want to grow? Like, what are you guys doing from a just a day to day thing? Do you see yourself doing more of a hey, I'm doing admin stuff versus I'm doing what I want, like what I really want to do?
We'll answer in two parts, and I'll let Kelly answer the part of administrative and payroll and stuff like that. But in terms of growing the business, um, we don't really want to grow it very much. You know, there's room to grow, but that is happening organically. And it really just happens through, you know, we get leads through, you know, we don't need to advertise at all. Our presence is on Google. We get a lot of word of mouth, you know, that found out about us through a friend or a neighbor or a vet. And you know, we show up on Google prominently. People are starting to find us through ChatGPT. And you know, like we just had one. They were like, they live in DC. They're like, I'm looking for a, you know, a place that where my dog will be really happy and will be able to have lots of time outside. And because she showed it to me, she was like, the answer to ChatGPT said this was like, we have the perfect place. It's described as heaven on earth for dogs, and the dogs are outside playing all day. And that part's not accurate, but it was pretty funny. Anyway, we get the leads. They just come in on a daily basis. And, um, you know, one of my main role is to respond to these inquiries, send them information. And again, there's a lot, it's communication heavy up front. We want them to know exactly what we do. We want them to know what kind of dogs work out well here and why we may not be a fit for other dogs. And it's sort of like, if you'd like to take the next step, let me know. And then I send them registration, and there's more sort of instructions there. And then we work towards an evaluation visit, and then it's a couple of daycare visits. But I'm part of that process up through the evaluation visit. And then and then the dogs sort of get, you know, then Sam and the ladies sort of take over from there. But we are still growing, but it's slower. It was sort of like weird through COVID because we took sort of a big hit. There's also, you know, I think people have a budget issue, and so things like travel and you know, expenses that might be you know, not necessarily necessary expenses, like again, going on vacation and then sending your dog to a boarding place. If budgets are tight, you know, it sort of affects us a little bit. So, um,
And then keeping up with, paying our employees well with, and the increase in minimum wage.
yeah, those keep going up. You know, that's it's like as our employees stay here longer, and a lot of them do. You know, they get regular raises. Um, but just to to back up a little bit on the growth, we go through periods of time where we stop taking on new dogs
I remember that.
because you know it's we sort of get hit a point where we feel like during the busy periods we're getting up close to that. You know, there isn't a real limit, but there's we sort of have a look. We want to be able to run things well. If we have you know, 80 dogs here overnight, and we haven't had that. I mean, I think the most we've ever had on an overnight was, I mean, what is it, in the 60s or 70s
This
or
is 70s,
in the
yeah.
70s, but and this was like more,
2018.
yeah, something like that. we haven't been nearly that busy since. So
I think the most we've had since then is almost, half of that, in the 40s, I think.
right. But it's better that way, and it's
It's much
we don't
better.
want to have 70 dogs overnight. We can accommodate that because we have three buildings, but so we sort of manage the amount of dogs by sometimes we put a notice up on the website. We're sorry that we're not taking dogs at this time. You can check back in 3 months or 6 months or something like that, or we'll put you on the waiting list. So that's how we sort of manage the number of dogs that we have. Now we haven't had that notice on in a couple of years, so the growth has been a little slower. Like after COVID, it's been a little slower to sort of get back up. So I think we could grow it another, you know, 20% or something like that, 30%, and that would be okay. But and it's sort of happening slowly.
If
I
you
think
were to,
oh, sorry. Go
no, no,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, no, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then, my role is more of the day-to-day operation, maybe in a supervising role. And I work,
Mainly supervising our managers.
yeah. Um, so I work very closely with Sam. I mean, Sam spends half her day up here in the house with me. We're sitting next to each other and, working through, um, various issues or, um, communications, stuff like that. But, um, and then, so it's a lot of that. And when she's not here on the weekends, it's more communication with other staff that's here, and, checking those texts all the time and stuff like that. And then I'm doing the bookkeeping and the payroll, stuff like that. Payroll used to be more of an issue because I started off using QuickBooks, and then we started using Gusto in, like, I don't know, 5 years ago maybe. Um, and that made things a little easier, but we were still using Ginger for employees to clock in and out. I recently discovered that they can use Gusto to clock in and out, and that makes things a whole lot easier. So the payroll time has been cut in half pretty much. Um, and it's not much, I'd say. Um, hour maybe every couple weeks. Yeah, we pay every other Friday. Um, and we don't at this time, because we haven't had a need to. All of our employees have been pretty young or they're married. We haven't needed to do insurance. And I think that may be coming up in the future, with some of our employees that I think will stick around, and as they approach that age that they're no longer under their parents' insurance. Um, and yeah, I'm doing bookkeeping and just, we do have an accountant to handle tax stuff. So yeah, that gets a little stressful once a year, getting everything put together. And then, like,
Just because Kelly's the bookkeeper.
right. And then there's, like, silly stuff like the PCI compliance with merchant. But that's pretty, after doing that so often, that doesn't take much time. So yeah, it's a lot of little stuff throughout the day, but nothing, that's too much right now. It was back in 2018 when we had all those dogs, and we didn't have, we had Kelsey at the time who was a manager, but um, I did what Sam and the four other managers are doing now. So that was very stressful. And I think Matt can vouch for the fact that I pretty much lost my mind and I don't want to go back.
Hmm.
So, I think he's right that keeping the numbers a little bit lower is more manageable.
Probably get better quality too, and better, happier.
Yeah.
Um, is Kelsey the one that is now working at the cider place next door?
No, that was Kenzie.
Oh,
Yeah.
And Kenzie now works at Steesburger, and they were doing the pop-up tents. And Hunter, her husband, I guess they get married or
They're no,
okay,
they're
they're
engaged.
engaged. Hunter started Steesburger, and they did pop-up tents, and so but they just opened up right near Kentlands their first like brick and mortar place. So they've got a little burger place, and that's where they're working.
Yeah.
for them. Yeah, Jen and I went over to the cider place one day, and I hear a Murphy out of nowhere, and he's more popular than we are. He happened to be there, and then we were at a hardwood store up near you know where the other Jimmy Cone is, not the one in Damascus, but the
In Mount Airy.
yeah. So we were at a hardware store there, and then I hear again from across the aisle, Murphy, and it was another one of your former employees who knew Murphy.
That's
Oh, really?
funny.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you remember who that was?
curly hair, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Jen
No.
will know. She's better with names than I.
It
I'll
might
let
have
you.
been Jess or, yeah.
I'll ask Jen because she I should have prepared and thought of that beforehand.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Uh, so you were talking about the what you're doing, Kelly. What about licensing compliance from a Maryland standpoint, sick leave, wage changes? So you mentioned that. How are you staying up on top of all that?
I mean, it's pretty easy, I have to say, through Gusto. They do a majority of the filings and um, the sick leave is all done automatically through payroll. Employees can request the time off or yeah, we offer I forget off the top of my head, I forget what it is, but a certain number of hours worked, they get time off up to, gosh, I don't even know now. I think it's like 58 hours. The managers get more time off. So we don't have an actual sick leave. It's just paid time off. They can use it how they want.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, Gusto has made that pretty easy, so I'm not having to do much. And as far as um, our licensing, with animal control, stuff like that, that's easy. That's just an application. They come out and do an inspection every year, and that's it.
Okay. Um, so from a challenge standpoint, are there is there anything that it sounds like there's really not much that is keeping you, when I say up all night, I don't mean that literally because you are up all night, but um uh is there anything that you would wish to change or you could do better? And you were saying earlier that you were in a bad place in 2018, but I guess just talk to me. Is there anything that you would change?
At this time, no, I think everything's pretty streamlined, and I think we have, good systems in place. Down the road when it comes to offering insurance and retirement, stuff like um, that stresses me out. And because frankly, I'm not really sure how it works. And I mean, our family insurance costs are outrageous, and I just don't know how all that works and what companies usually offer for employees and stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing I know I'm going to need help with in the future. But right now, I think got things down pretty well.
It sounds like that way. And for just do you have like a rough time frame as to when you're thinking that you'd be looking into the benefits?
Probably around this time next year.
Okay.
I think Jess will be turning 26 in I think this month in June of next year. And then we have another employee, Taylor, who she's kind of deciding whether or not she wants to move on and do something else. But that was one of the things she brought up was if she stays, she'll need insurance too.
When that happens, let me know. So, or when it gets closer to that, let me know. I can. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So I, because right now I don't think just it doesn't sound like there's that much uh challenging you or that there are little things, but I don't think I think you guys have a lot of it worked out. I'm not sure that we would be able to help you at this moment with anything that we have other than we'd be able to kind of put a lot of stuff together and really provide a package for you. But I'm not sure that all that stuff is uh, really
Time consuming.
yeah yeah like so. Let me tell you a little bit about Insperity. Maybe that'll be a good segue because I know we are 4:40. Do you have a hard stop at 5? I want to make sure I'm cognizant of
No,
your.
that's okay. We're good.
All right, I have my other laptop over here. I'm not looking away from you. I'm just pulling up my laptop.
Just took her outside. I think she peed on the deck, and then I think she came back. I
Okay.
think she's like over here.
Okay.
Oh, she's right here.
When it snowed, all that snow that we had in the winter, Murphy would pee on the deck as well.
Yeah. There was no other option.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, oh, I guess I'll go here. Um, had it up. I'm sorry. I'm 3. Okay. So, Insperity, we are celebrating our 40th year, and we got into this business realizing that there's a lot of businesses out there who really don't want to have to worry about all the back end people stuff, the administrative, all the things that are slowing them down, and they really want to focus on their mission and really get to what they started their business for, and not necessarily just do paperwork and have to worry about back end people side of it. So what we've done is we pioneered this idea of what we call it co-employment. Are you familiar with the term co-employment?
No.
All right. So we have two models, and we help organizations in a few different ways. And ultimately, our mission statement is we want to help businesses succeed so that communities prosper. We focus solely on we have a Maryland office. We really focus on Maryland businesses. We want to be part of the community. We want to grow, and we love the Maryland flag. I mean, we are a local organization here, but we are a national organization overall. We have a model where we can take on all the administrative efforts from a people side. We can be a business platform to help your people grow. We really want to make sure that we're leveraged as a platform to help businesses grow while also at the same time reducing their risk. And so, how do we do that? Well, one way is for this thing called co-employment, where we enter into this agreement, partnership, where we are acting. Why is I had some screen. We provide all the different services that you see on this little cog here. employment benefits, administrative, payroll, recruiting support, learning and development. So you get a learning management system, performance management system. So all the folks that are A players stay A players. You get your B team players up to A players. So we really want to make sure that we find those SAMs who are great team leaders and really coach them up to make sure that they are able to be the right fit to be another make sure that they're in the right position and make sure that we know that the people are being hired in the right way and all that stuff. And then we also work and share the liability aspect as well. So there's risks. So whether it's government compliance, any sort of state regulation compliance issue, we take care of that. We are, if there's any sort of error or anything that happens, that's on us. We take care of that. If there's a maybe there's a wrongful termination, that's on us. We take care of. We get our lawyers involved. You don't have to worry about that. Same thing for liability, workers' comp. So that's one model, and then the other model that we have is it's called HR Core. And so HR Core, this is it's a little less hands-on where we're actually, you know what, I kind of skipped a part of it. So let me go back here. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But one of the things that separates co-employment from other solutions is that we actually it's our way of allowing you to take advantage of the architecture and infrastructure of a Fortune 500 company, because we are a Fortune 500 company. So you get all the benefits and everything from that an HR company or an HR organization would be able to offer, but you may not have the resources to be able to do that yourself. So being able to take advantage of Fortune 500 resources while being able to take advantage of the other aspects as well. So it's the economies of scale. But our other solution is maybe not everyone needs that. Maybe not everyone needs to go through every hand-holding scenario. We still do provide another solution called HR Core, where we will provide everything else that we discussed, except we're not going to be providing the benefits from a direct standpoint. So we can work with you guys and help from like a broker and be able to provide different we'll work with you guys, and we have our own internal Insperity insurance services, so we can help provide whatever type of insurance that you may need or medical benefits. We can act as your broker and get you whatever solution is the best fit. But ultimately, yeah, so that's what we do. Can
I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
So does this come in some sort of like package form, or what if we only needed, something like insurance or
employee benefits?
Yeah, employee benefits.
Yeah, so that's why right now I'm not sure if this is the best fit, because it is a one size. You get everything. It's like a Spotify subscription. Like you get everything, and there are a lot of there's so many things that are included, but it's not everyone would be able to benefit from it, unfortunately. But there are organizations who absolutely could benefit. So like we have something that's called a performance specialist, where they do project work, and they can help organizations find their culture and have help with, let's organize our people in such a way that it actually encourages the right type of culture. So if organizations need just some guidance, that's all included. So there's no additional cost to anything. Everything's included, but it's not an a la carte. it's not an
Mhm.
Do you have a an ideal size company that tends to fit well with Insperity, or in certain sectors, or there's certain things that you're looking for?
Yeah. So I our our average size client is 23 employees. But we work from small businesses from 5 employees all the way up to thousands and thousands, and anywhere in between. But our ideal client is somewhere in the 20-25 range, and we can help. So this the co-employment model is great for. So you have to be approved to be on this plan because it's our plan, and so we want to make sure that um, we're doing right by our current customers, and so we're very picky with who can get on this plan because we're not sure who. There's a lot of work that goes involved with making sure that we keep that pool clean and um, for out of respect and for our other
Got to
clients.
work for both parties.
Right. Whereas this guy, the HR core, this is a good fit for any organization that like it, for yourself. I'd imagine that workers' comp is probably a little higher than most other businesses that you in general because a lot of organizations are people stay at home at the desk and there's not dealing with things that you have to deal with. But that's just an assumption. But so this is a model where we can help make you grow and help be a platform for growth. But at the same time, if you're not looking for that, it may not be um, we may not have something to solve.
Right.
If there's nothing to solve, I'm not sure if it was the a solution that doesn't solve anything.
Yeah. So is it similar to, I mean, are you familiar with like Gusto or like these other payroll companies where they have all like Gusto has a um you know a benefits section, where they can help with stuff like that. That's not something that we've used with them, and frankly, it seems a little complicated, but they do offer a whole bunch of different things. So is your company similar to that?
Yeah. So let me share this slide real quick. All right. So what we're looking at here is this, we'll call this the liability line. What this liability line is kind of where most organizations let you do it. So it's either hands-on for yourself or someone else is doing it for you. Most like Gusto is probably for overall is probably mostly here, where you're still doing a lot of the work. They're managing stuff on the back end for you, but you're still having to do the onboarding, the hiring, the payroll. You're still doing that, but so you don't have a team doing it for you. Whereas with a co-employment or a PEO, professional employment organization, most PEOs start here, where payroll and taxes, that is, um, they're taking that on your behalf. Whereas these other things that they're really not doing it for you, they can support you on it, but they're not. They're really they're kind of giving you they're like contracting that out for you. So they're not doing it themselves, but they're kind of getting you behind the wheel and letting you drive, but they're giving you the car.
Mm-hmm.
And then us, I don't know where that extra square came in. So HR 360, we pioneered this model. So we actually do take care of everything. So we you focus on your business and your core mission. We take care of everything else, the benefits, the strategy, the workers' comp, everything. So that we have actually a team of 7 people, dedicated 7 people that are focused solely on you. So you call up and the same person answers the phone over and over and over again. It's not a call center. That's the model that we're giving. It's you want the same person who knows your business, who knows what your aspirations are, what your challenges are, uh, versus having to call and repeat yourself over and over again. So we're providing unmatched service that no one can match in this industry. But there are so Gusto. I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what Gusto does, and I still have some learning to do on that point. But I'll tell you, I'm pretty certain that they're not going to be able to provide the whole platform that we're providing. They can they can do payroll and taxes, but from an overall people strategy standpoint, we have a lot more that they just most HR organizations don't have.
Mm-hmm.
What's the, in terms of benefits, what is, do some companies just handle the benefits themselves internally? How often do people outsource? Like what's involved with that?
So yeah, so we with in Maryland with under businesses under 50 employees, th're not required to offer benefits. But once you get to the 50 standpoint, you are. So we're unique in that we can help. We can leverage our model with or without benefits. If we have a broker arm of our business, so we can work with any plan that is ideal for you. So maybe you want Blue Cross Blue Shield, or maybe if you were to go with if you were able to qualify for the big plan, United Healthcare. So we are one of United Healthcare's top 5 clients, and we have 500,000 lives on our plan. So that's why you're able to get those economies of scale, and why it's a lot of cost savings come from being able to leverage that that advantage.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I'm sort of wondering at what point does it, so on a per employee basis through the economies of scale that Insperity offers, you know, for a business like ours, where's the sort of break even there? If and if we have, if half of our employees are part-time, and I don't know if, if I think if we offered it, we'd have to offer it to all full-time employees, and they may or may not even choose to participate. I don't really know the rules on that, but I'm just wondering where it sort of, I don't know what the cost is, what the charge is, because as you said, it's not like we can just pick a la carte, and the benefits thing, it's everything together.
So I'm going to answer your question in a way that you're at first you're going to be like, oh, he's not answering the question, but hear me out. What we charge is not what we cost. So let's just say, for round numbers, let's say let's say we're on co-employment, this guy, for $200 a month per employee. That's the what we charge. But a lot of organizations, they may find that we're actually bringing in a lot of revenue sources that they never thought that they would be able to see, or be able to
Realize.
Yeah, exactly, realize. Maybe there's more dogs that would you'd be able to leverage, or not? Again, I I don't want to put words in your mouth because you said you don't want to overscale, or scale too much.
Sure.
But hypothetically speaking, maybe
Yeah,
there's
in an alternate world,
yeah,
you can use us. We want to scale. We're opening two locations.
right. So, if you could imagine finding, being able to have a platform that allows your staff to get up to speed a little faster, maybe be a little bit more efficient with their time. I don't know exactly how. I don't want to provide a solution for you now, but those are the things that what our our platform does, while at the same time making sure that everything is in order from a tax standpoint. Maybe a lot of organizations have multiple states, so maybe you have a tax, or a different uh, minimum wage in one state, and maybe you're filing them improperly by accident. Well, there's a we actually had a client who was doing just that. So they had a client in having who was getting paid like $18 an hour, one place, but he should have been being paid uh, like $21 or something like that. Well, so that little overall slight difference doesn't sound like much, but there are fines involved with things like that. So we take it. There's areas where we can find, hey, these are cost savings to you, that you wouldn't have to worry about. Again, like maybe they're for recruiting, that it's really probably not as difficult to find the help that you may need versus someone who needs a very, a white collar, um, I need, a graphic designer or something like that. Um,
Mhm.
Again, I don't want to put words and make assumptions, but uh, we offer those types of services as well, and making sure that everything is, you have a platform for learning as well. That we have 5,000 different learning classes and courses in our learning management and development system. So all those things, and making sure that the managers are, um, maybe your highest performing, or your best person with working with the dogs isn't going to be your best manager. Uh, that doesn't always correlate. So we have ways that we can make sure that those people are put in the right position, so that way it doesn't cause any um, delays, or doesn't cause any corrupt obstruction in your day-to-day business process. Those are different
Gotcha.
costs that you may not see right away. So it's not necessarily what we're charging is not what we cost. So
Right.
that's what it is.
Understood. Okay.
But
Yeah,
just from a round number,
that explains it better.
yeah, from a round number, it's about $200 a head per month.
Okay.
Well, this is all good to know. I mean, it may not necessarily make sense for us right now, but we do, talk to a lot of people. We have a lot of clients that, you know, have their own businesses and such, and it's good to know, you know, this is
Uh,
available.
yeah, and so we do have a loyalty program. Now this is the part where I'm gonna get selfish and let you know that for any meeting that you help me schedule, you get 200 points, or $200.
Mhm.
So, and if the it works out and the deal goes through, you get up to $15,000. So there's a lot of folks that take advantage of that, and I would very much welcome any opportunity that you have to share any sort of relationship that you have with any of your network. I promise to be on my best behavior, and make sure that they give them the respect and the attention that they deserve, because I know that your relationship is important, and I never want to jeopardize that.
You know what could be helpful for us, if as we're, talking here and there and meeting new clients and stuff like that, if maybe you can email us maybe just like a bulleted summary of the type of business that fits well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
anywhere from this amount of employees to this amount.
Yeah.
Here are some of the challenges of this business that we can complement. Um, Here are the things that they might be looking for and that we can provide.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll get that over, and then I'll I'll give you a bunch of cards that you may be able to hand out as well, if that would be helpful too.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and likewise, I want to be a resource for you, regardless of, I mean, this you really are our dog's second family. So I want to make sure that you know how special you are to Jen and myself, and so whatever I can do, just as a person, let me know if however I can help. If you need a um more word of mouth, whatever it may be, just let me know, and I'm here for you.
Thank you, Mike.
We
Appreciate it.
yeah, we were really lucky to be doing what we do and to be able to like have these dogs as especially the ones that come on a regular basis that we get to know well. To be able to have them, it's just sort of there's parts of the job that are difficult, but that's that's the best part. And we have such great clients, like the human
Yeah.
clients. Um, you know, it makes it all worthwhile.
I mean, every day, and I think it was last week, I was sitting out in out in the yard, and Murphy was on my lap, and I was thinking how, you know, lucky we are, and like how we've gotten to know these dogs. I mean, it's been a long time that Murphy's been coming, and we've got dogs in the house right now that have been coming for 13 years, and it's like, it's just we're pretty lucky.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, I think it goes both ways. I mean, ChatGPT was right. I mean, you guys are a phenomenal resource for us. I mean, I couldn't be more thrilled to have you as Murphy's second family. So you guys are really special to me, and because I know how much Murphy, how well you treat him, and how just how good people you are. So um,
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
well, thank you for sharing your time with me. I wish I could have gotten a chance to try to pitch you, but I don't really want to um, go down a path that isn't necessarily there yet. But because I just don't think I don't think
Yeah,
it's right. Yeah.
understood.
Yeah, and we'll definitely reach out if it, seems like it would be.
We're making
Yeah.
some changes and
Yeah.
And
growth
when
and
it comes down to the benefits, when that conversation starts taking place again, let me know. Regardless of whether we work together, I'll be there for you to give you the questions that you should be asking and stuff like that.
okay, awesome. All
Well,
right.
thanks, Mike.
All right,
Appreciate your
guys. Well,
time.
thank you for your time, and I really appreciate having you guys in my corner. So,
All right,
Awesome.
we'll talk to
Thanks,
you
Mike.
soon.
bye,
Bye
guys.
bye.